Okay, so welcome everybody who's joined us today to this little mock Erasmus Cafe. We're trying to continue a tradition that ESN has held for a very long time in these, let's say, altered circumstances and give everybody who's interested in this type of thing an opportunity to exchange some opinions with Erasmus students that are here, actually hear what their experience has been like. And pretend that they're actually having a conversation with them. This will not be interactive, so I have done my best and we have done our best to prepare questions that kind of cover their entire experience. So I would like to introduce everybody to Anatoliy and Yevgeniy, or Yevgeniy, as we have written in the description of this event. So let's just get right into it. If you guys could give us a bit of background to your story, who you are, where you come from, what is your educational background, and also what put you into that direction to choose that for your course of studies. Let's start with you, since you have the microphone.
So many questions. Alright, so my name is Anatoliy Goldyrev. I am born in Ukraine, and when I was 8 years old, roundabout, my whole family moved to Germany, to Berlin exactly. I went to school. I went to the German Armed Forces for 1 year. And then I went for my bachelor in economics, and at the moment I'm doing my public economics master at the same free university as where I also did my bachelor degree. Mm-hmm. And I'm on since September I'm on the Erasmus in Belgrade.
Okay, cool. What about you?
So hello everyone one more time. My name is Yevgeniy. I'm from Poland. I'm also, as Anatoliy, was born in Ukraine because my father is from Ukraine and mother from Poland. So that's why I have this double nationality, let's say. In Ukraine I graduated school and then I come back to Poland. In Poland I graduated 2 master studies already, not first you wrote in your application and post on Facebook, but it was 2 master studies. So first one is contemporary diplomacy and another one is Polish foreign service. And right now at the moment it's my third master studies here, and I studied European studies and European diplomacy.
That's about it. Yeah, well, I'm sure you will do the 4th Masters.
Yeah.
Where there's 3, there is 4. If you guys see us checking our phones or pieces of paper, it's just so we can keep up with all the questions that need to be answered. So basically, you have a very similar starting background, but you chose 2 kind of different educational paths. Anatoliy, if you could maybe tell us why you were interested in economics in general and how that relates to you coming here.
Okay, good question actually. Right, so I chose economics
studies,
the field of study, because I was always interested in mathematics, and I never been interested in physics and stuff. So I thought economics is the way to go. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm not studying like business economics. It's more like macroeconomic statistics, economic policy, this kind of stuff. And it was a great choice. And basically this study is like a mathematics study, to be honest, a lot of mathematics, a lot of formulas. And now I'm here at the Faculty of Economics in Belgrade, and so far it's been a great journey.
Okay, well that's great to hear. And what about you?
So as for me, I mean, it was also a very similar story because from the school I had my best marks from geography or history. Mm-hmm. So that's why actually I really wanted to go to some direction like or history or geography. So that's why I chose actually diplomacy. Mm-hmm. And also in my bachelor it was international relations. What more here, of course, it was very interesting because from the beginning I know that in my university, for example, we never had something like foreign Balkan diplomacy, like foreign service in Serbia or something like that. Mm-hmm. So especially if I'm interested in diplomacy in general and in political science, so of course it was a good idea to choose especially Belgrade University, since I had already, because actually today I had my last exam, so I had this chance and that opportunity to choose some subjects I never had in Warsaw, in my home university. So that's why it's also about that stuff that I can do more really very interesting and useful subjects, which for example in Warsaw I never done because we never have something like that.
Actually the same holds for me because at my faculty we can't choose any courses from the business side, and here I could choose like investment, so stuff which is more like on a micro basis, like on a business level. So I wanted to combine the macroeconomics knowledge which I already gained in Berlin to the knowledge I can get here at the Faculty of Economics.
Well, that's a great point that both of you made. So you basically used your exchange experience as a way to kind of re-engineer your degrees and gain some knowledge that was actually unavailable for you. That was my personal experience as well. I spent 2 semesters in Germany at 2 different universities, and it really allowed me to diversify my portfolio when I entered the job market. I had a lot of knowledge that, let's say, my competitors, people with a similar degree, did not have. So how do you think this will interplay into your future job ventures, for example, or academic ventures?
I think for the CV it's more important that I actually did the Erasmus, not specifically the university in this case. So yeah, it's basically what employers are looking for in Germany, at least, and I think in Western Europe in general, is foreign experience. And this actually counts a lot to you. I mean, it helps a lot to get invited, to get the job, to land the job, and yeah, this is how this will contribute to my journey.
Okay, great. Because very few people, at least my peers, would think that somebody coming from a Western university to Eastern Europe that studies economics, that studies business, and that is not necessarily focused on development studies can actually improve his positioning in the job market. Well, for you, I think it goes without saying, with your educational background, that you needed to diversify your studies as much as possible. But what do you think coming to Serbia will entail for you for the next step in your studies or job?
First of all, I also agree one more time with Anatoliy, because this let's say foreign exchange, let's say this abroad experience, like it's very important. So of course, like when in your future career, when you have something like this, I mean. Foreign and abroad experience, it's like looks very good and looks really super amazing. So that's why as many times you can go abroad, of course, like you should take this possibility, and like of course you should go, because it was even in case of me, as you know, guys, I done 6 Erasmuses. So like as every time it's new experience, new people, it's making new friends. Also, for example, in our here being in Belgrade. In some of our lessons it was international guests from really everywhere. We have a lot of subjects where, for example, it was people from different institutions, public and private one. It was also some diplomats from embassies here in Belgrade. So that's why we can also make some contact for future. It's not only, I will say, about our future career, which is connected with our new making friendship, but also about some people you can meet in university, some professors you can meet actually. In university, some professors, some another famous people, let's say, who can help you in the future. So this is, in my point of view, like also the most important.
Yeah, for sure. And would you say that coming to Serbia changed your perspective on some issues relating to international relations, political science, or something like that?
It was also very interesting because, for example, in my lessons, all time it was, for example, when we're studying about my first and second master studies, all time it was about, let's say, Germany foreign policy, Italian foreign policy, like countries which really like have a big influence for that, for let's say from international perspective and from diplomacy perspective. But in case of Serbia, like we never studied something like that. So that's why, from my perspective, it was very interesting to know how is a function here in Belgrade, and what more receives this experience being here about Serbia, about Serbian service, about Balkan history, about Balkan culture, about Balkan traditions, and then with this experience already I got. Come back to Poland, and like in that way, for me as a future diplomat, it's very important like to know how rebuild our future relations, even in case of Poland and Serbia.
That's an excellent point. What about you? Would you say that it changed your perspective on some things? It doesn't have to be connected to your job or your studies, but maybe just about life in general or the people.
Okay, that's actually a big question.
Yeah.
I would say it changed my perspective in this way, that I want to travel more around the Balkan countries, that I want to learn more about the history, about the culture. I mean, the culture is somehow connected to the Ukrainian culture because we're kind of all Slavs,
Yeah.
But I've never been to Balkans really, and I in our school we don't get into detail like Tito, Yugoslavian wars, and so on, and. This exchange definitely changed my perspective on how I look at this part of Europe, and Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk a bit more about that later, but you actually are in a very, very interesting point now, because you're both Slavs, you're both Ukrainian by origin, you're both in Belgrade now studying in Serbia, but your life and your educational background is a bit different. So you're from Eastern Europe, you're from Poland, and you are studying in Germany. So starting from you, how would you say that your university compares to this university in Belgrade when it comes to teaching methods?
You know, I will say it's really quite similar, because right now all of my colleagues in Warsaw, of course, they have lessons online, the same I have here. Of course, sometimes from time to time it was something like I went to university, for example, today to pass something, but in case just of passing exams, not like regular normal class. So from perspective of online education, which we have right now at the moment, of course a similar one, because as in Poland, as in here in Serbia, we have these online lessons and online system studying. What more, the same actually in Warsaw I had, and here I had also the same. It's about this international system, because, you know, we can, as I said before, we had a lot of really many different guests from everywhere, from institution, organization, embassies. So it was really also very important to know, like, from their perspective, how some relations looks like, or like what we can do. So in that point of view, I mean, method studying is also quite the same. So I guess when in my case we compare University of Warsaw and University of Belgrade, like it looks the same. But more it's also about prestige, because when I just applied for my studying here, I check all different like kind of ranking, let's say, which university are best, and like which kind of let's say a quality system, student system, like international environment, international influence. So as I read, as my university in Warsaw, as here in Belgrade, it's like 5% of best universities ever in the world. So that's why it's also like hard to compare, because it's really a very high level of education, really like good professors, good methods of studying. So I will say that I can find more common things, but not differences.
Okay, well that's good to hear. And what about you? Studying in Germany, I know how my faculty there was different from the faculty here. Germany in general has a very unique higher education academic system. So how would you say in general, not only relating to the method of teaching now during COVID, how would you say that the teaching is and the university experience in general?
Alright, to be honest, I didn't dive so much into detail like Yevgeniy with the rankings. But I would say, I mean, my last semester was in Berlin. I mean, we have the pandemic since 1 year, so we all have online classes since then. And I must say, so I'm doing the IMKF program at the Faculty of Economics, and I'm actually taking like not real, but courses which were first in person. So I think until mid of November we had regular classes, like where we went to faculty and had the lectures in, like live in person, before they switched to online lessons. And I must say I'm pretty impressed, because the courses are quite demanding. I mean, of course it's a master program, and in fact some of the courses were actually more interactive than I was used to in Berlin, because there it was, you just turn the
slide, the presentation.
Exactly. You just listen and then you just leave. And here it's more interactive, so the teacher always asks questions. It's more practical, so we do more exercises. For example, investment, we did a lot of Excel like problems, solve them together, and so this was quite nice. And yeah, in general, I would say I couldn't say which system is better regarding
of course
online classes. So Belgrade and Berlin are
very different.
Not so different. That's what I want to say.
It's very different in the general context, but right now,
probably
definitely not so different. That's why I asked, or at least that is the perception of people that study here in Belgrade, working with students for the past, 5-6 years here. We generally tend to think that everything abroad is better, much better, due to various factors. But moving on to your other international experiences, so I would like to start from you, because you've had a lot of them, so could you tell us a bit more about your other...
Wait. Can I start, because I have less experience? And
of course.
Like going from...
Okay, so you would like to start
first.
Okay. Sure.
So for me it's actually the first experience in another country. So I mean, I always love traveling, but I never made the step to go like for a longer period to another country. And this was basically connected to different factors like work. And I kind of like the to be in the comfort zone, you know, with your friends in Berlin. I mean, Berlin is a great city, but I never made that step to go into a foreign country. What changed is that I started, that I landed a new job beginning of this year, beginning of last year, 2020. So it's actually a tech company. So we're following the remote first principle. So this is why I could just leave Berlin and go here and work from here. And so there are also some perks which comes with COVID. So
yeah, that's an interesting point, because as much as our mobility has been reduced because of COVID, it allows for some new ways, new types of mobility. And we've yet to see how the whole blended mobility thing will play out, how the next exchanges of the next years will happen, but you guys are at least showing that it is possible to do something during these times.
Exactly. Digitalization for the win.
Exactly. Okay, now let's move on to the expert, the pro. Could you tell us about your exchanges?
So, okay guys, my first exchange was to Turkey. It was 2015. As you know, actually Serbia is my 6th exchange. I hope not last one, since I have planned to apply for my PhD studies it will be not for master studies, but let's say PhD studies, so that's why I will also during the PhD studies go somewhere for my
That
exchange.
Doesn't count, you have to do 4 master's programs. Yes, move on.
Yeah. So my first exchange was to Turkey. It was 2015 as I said, and it was because during my all of 6 Erasmus exchange, it was 2 times studies and 4 times it was like internship with some workshops. So first time it was Turkey, then my second exchange, because I should remember all of my exchanges because it's so complicated to have all of them in my head. So first was in Turkey, then I went one more time to Turkey, especially in my bachelor studies I started to learn Turkish language, so that's why I also know Turkish. It's also from that perspective. During 2015, I was like, okay, so it's the best option, first of all, to see another country. Another way, it was seaside cities, because I was in Izmir, I was in Alanya, which is very close to sea, and you can you can feel really more summer than wherever. And also from perspective that I can study language being in environment, in language environment, it was the most important for me. So that's why 2 times I chose Turkey. And my third one was to Czech Republic. It was actually a normal study. During 6 months I was in Chelsea University in Prague. It was also crazy because it was for more, because all of my previous internship and workshops, it was for let's say 2-3 months, and it was first time that from even Czech Republic is very close to Poland, because it's just 7 hours by bus, but still and of course it's EU and it's pretty similar, because always language is similar, cuisine is similar, culture, tradition, all pretty the same. So that's why it wasn't so big shock compared, for example, with Turkey, with my another Erasmus about which I will tell you right now. But still, it was my exchange with study. So in Czech Republic, I spent 6 months. Then I went to Italy, to Reggio di Calabria. Also for internship and for workshops. I spent there 4 months. Then before I came here to Belgrade, 3 months I spent in Lithuania during my summer. And then from Lithuania I just came to Warsaw to pick up my visa, Serbian visa in my passport, and already flight here to Belgrade. So that's how it looks like.
Crazy.
That's a great story. So you don't have that much experience living abroad. You definitely do within the context of the Erasmus program, higher education, these internships. So when you knew you were going to come to Serbia, what were your expectations? Let's focus on stereotypes, because nobody really ever thinks that only bad stuff is going to happen to them. But could you tell us, what were you actually expecting? We can start from you.
Okay, so to be honest, I didn't have any stereotypes, but I experienced this stereotypes when I told people and my family about me going to Belgrade or to Serbia in general. And I think the most typical, the most common stereotype, which all of them said, what do you want in Serbia? The people are so rude. You're gonna get murdered there. Not that extreme, but you know what I'm trying to say. So people thought it's actually really criminal, but and actually I then started to Google it, to watch some videos about Serbia in general, and everybody said that people are warm-hearted, really welcoming to also the foreigners, and Actually, this is what I can also confirm. Living here for 4 months already, so I never had any problems. I didn't get in any trouble. Everything was just fine. I got invited to some random parties, whatever, so by people I didn't know. So yeah, this
parties with the maximum of 5 people there.
Of course,
yes.
I'm always complying with the local regulations.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm very happy that you had such a positive experience, and that is the general experience of almost every student that comes here on their exchanges, and there are more and more every semester. Corona's definitely put a hamper on that, but we're going to see an uptake when all this is over. Okay, what about you?
So in my case, I only wanted to add that this my 6th exchange. It's like not Erasmus. Yeah. It's my trip to Serbia, to Belgrade University. It's NAVA. Name, it's like a Polish ministerial program scholarship. So I'm NAVA scholarship holder. I would like to add it also. So what more? From the beginning, it was Serbia was my first country, like which I put to learning agreement. I mean, like you know, some kind of application form, and I was accepted, of course. What more? All when I just like starting some talking with my parents, with my friends, that like I would like to go to Serbia. Of course, it was like stop. But when you finally will move like for permanent for Poland, when you finally when you will finally stay in Poland for more than 2 weeks, and I was like, no, not yet, because I would like to go to Serbia. And all of them the same, like Anatoliy said, all of them had that perspective still that like having actually that perspective that it's. First of all, that like, but why Serbia? Like, what you will do there? Like, you, after maybe you not maybe like I mean, you will boring after you done Erasmus in Turkey, like Czech Republic, and then like Serbia. Totally, it will be like totally the same compared with Czech Republic, or for example with like Poland, because it's still like not so like abroad, like let's say China or Japan. But I was like, no, I really wanted to go, and actually that's why I'm here. What about more stereotypes? I guess like still people have this thinking about Balkans war, about can I say Kosovo issue. Yeah. So like that's why also like it can be, let's say, small possibility about like it's a little bit dangerous. That's like, let's say, that's message I received from my friends and from my parents, that like it's still like, of course everything finished already, but like we don't know like it can be so like security for you. What about security issues? So like we don't know like if Serbia is a good choice, but like yes, being here for already 5 months, let's say, it's I feel like the same like Anatoliy said, like it's really very safety here. All of us made like really good friends. It was randomly party, as he also mentioned, with 5 people.
With 5 people, of course.
With according to law.
Yeah.
So that's why I mean like about another stereotype, because when I also spoke with my friends, all of them said like, oh, like so you listen to Ceca. It was like first stereotype in Poland according to Polish perspective. Another one was about Pleskavica and Trakia, which I already like here being here, no. But I'm so happy because I already checked, because I really will so much miss Pleskavica and Trakia. But I checked a lot of places in Warsaw, and guys, we have a lot of really huge number of restaurants and bars in Warsaw with Balkan cuisine. So I'm so happy that I can continue this explanation with Balkan cuisine, not being in Belgrade but in Warsaw. So
that's also a great tip to any viewers that are maybe interested in going on exchanges to Poland. Now you know where to go if you want to continue drinking rakia and eating Pleskavica.
So I know the place. So like this is what I mean, like let's say dangerous and safe issue, and like then more about culture, about because it's also I mean from my department, I'm first person who went to Belgrade in general to Serbia. So that's why let's say that like still Serbia is not very popular direction when you're talking about some exchange, you're talking about some studies programs. Like still people, especially I don't know how it looks in Germany, but like in Poland still more people prefer go to EU states, of course, but like they not prefer, still they haven't this how to say feelings that like let's explore something more out of EU. So that's why it's like still it's not very popular direction. but I taken it and I'm so happy.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that both of you are happy with your time in Serbia. The thing is, we are not generally in the public eye that often unless something bad happens. We haven't had the best PR in the past, but we're hoping to change that by just showcasing everything that this country has to offer. Also with the safety issue, a lot of people sometimes say, oh, this is going to be dangerous, or this is going to be this or that. Belgrade is a city of almost 2 million people, and you can expect from it everything you can expect from any city of 2 million people. But I would also agree that it is in general very, very safe, and I'm glad you find the people friendly. So that is Serbia, and those are the Serbs. What about you two? So you're Ukrainian, but you're in Poland, you're in Germany. How does your nationality interplay into your interaction with Serbs and with other international students? Because you're not the only ones here. Yep. So could you maybe tell us a bit more about that? Anything you felt strongly about when you came here? Any clashes with the culture here?
Okay, actually, I got this question a lot. So, do I feel more as a Ukrainian or more like a German? And before I came here, I actually never thought that. I didn't get that question as often as here, because here all the cultures just clash together, all the countries. And I figured out that, of course, I live in Germany for around 18 years, so I kind of adjusted to the culture, to the habits, to the cliches too, to the stereotypes. But in the heart, I'm Ukrainian for sure, and will always be a Slav. And I must say, like, the way my parents raised me, I mean, I lived 8 years in Ukraine before I came to Germany, and I was still raised like
with Ukrainian values, let's say.
With Ukrainian values, exactly. And I think maybe it's unconscious. I mean, I can't say for sure, but it helped me a lot to get along with people here, to understand how things just go. So this is a huge benefit. I think when you come from, for example, France, we have a lot of French people in our group of Erasmus people. I think it's more complicated to understand what's actually going on. Like, why are people behaving like that, or why don't I get a bill for that, you know? So this kind of little stuff. So I think being or having this culture inside of us, I think we integrate it quicker. And also I took a course, like a Serbian class. Yeah. It was like intense courses from October until December. And recently we wrote the exam, and I passed, everything fine.
Congratulations.
And, voila. And yeah, I mean, speaking Russian language, of course, helped me also achieving this. So the integration process is just smoother and much easier for me, at least.
Okay, and were there any German parts of your personality, let's say, that were just like, what the heck is happening here when you came to Serbia? Because in the past we have a lot of people from Germany here, and they have similar issues to what the French have. You just mentioned that they just don't understand some things.
Yeah, okay, the thing is, like, I would consider myself as German, but I don't have this German way of thinking, like, completely. So many things were not random to me, but for example, which I came along here, is that Serbs are, or at least the people I'm hanging out with, also the French, are always late. So there I noticed, okay, I'm pretty German, man. I'm always on point, always like even 5 minutes earlier, you know. So this small thing, probably also complying to order. I mean, how to call it, even like being reckless. I don't know. Yeah. So this is probably also more German, but I come along pretty well here. So
happy to hear that. And Yevgeniy, what about you?
So what about stereotypes of Poles? Maybe I will say a little bit more. It's of course about Polish vodka, because all of us, like when you all time when I go abroad with my exchange, all when I said it, like I'm half Ukrainian and half Poland, like all of them like, oh, like we know Zbog, it's very good Polish vodka. It's just about Zbog all time. It's also about sometimes from time to time less than about Zbog, but also I can hear about hospitality, Polish hospitality, because like we are very open-minded. I mean, even we not accept refugees, and we have really very strong abortion law, but still like we are really very open-minded people. So maybe it's also about that. Compared with Anatoliy, I guess. Also, when we're talking about like nationalities, half Poles, half Polish, and half Ukrainian, like I mean, Ukrainian and Polish identity, let's say, it's like more close and like compared with Ukrainian and Germany one. So maybe in my case, I feel like the same. I mean, it's still the same language, very similar language, like the same tradition. Especially like I was growing up with this tradition. I mean, in Polish tradition, I graduated Polish school also. So maybe it's about also that. Mostly, like I spent even to Poland. I moved. I come back 10 years ago, but still, like in my Ukrainian city, it was like all time. With Polish relatives, with Polish influence, so maybe that's why I can say that like I feel more Polish, but still like of course half of me is Ukrainian. What more about here,
So how did that interplay into your interactions with Serbs, for example? We're like, okay, these people are Slavs.
Yes, the whole time it was like, oh, Slavs brate, and I was like, yes, I am. Even here, I wasn't attend for Serbian courses because all time I used to use my skills of Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, and believe me, like it's very good because everyone understands me. I mean, like I don't need. Maybe in case I will come here for 1 year, like yes, I will take some Serbian courses, but in case of amounts, in my perspective, in my point of view, it wasn't necessary. So that's why I can use my Polish, Russian, and like everything is really going well, and everyone understands me. So I'm so happy. And it's not the same that sometimes I cannot understand Serbs, but like still I know I can say what I want to. So this is the most important for me. So yes, it was about this like Slavs, let's say, relations that I call. Like you came from Slavic like country, so like you are more close to us, like compared with, for example, another nationalities. But what I really, let's say, hate here, it's all time when I should go somewhere, I can waiting for bus or tram for 1 hour, especially in Zvezdara, best regards from tram number 7.
Oh my
because
God.
I can wait tram number 7 for 1 hour, and then I will pick up cargo.
Yeah, of course.
That's why it was like not, because like, even in Poland we have the same like in Germany. For example, bus must be, let's say, 21:30, it will be 21:30, it will never late, like, so that's why from my perspective, living in Poland for 10 years, like I know that like for sure bus will come, but here for sure it will not.
Well, that is definitely an infrastructure issue and a public governance issue, and this is the cancer sore of Belgrade in particular, because we have 2 million people and no subway. So we understand. We see, this is how you become a part of our community. You share the same problems we share, and have been doing so for a few months. And if it makes you feel any better, sometimes I can't understand Serbs either. So when they speak, okay. Well, that was definitely an interesting point that you both made. Now let's pivot back to COVID. You came here knowing full well that this is going to be the COVID Erasmus, the COVID semester. What were you expecting? What were you not expecting? Now that you're towards the end of your exchange and you can look back on everything. We can start with you, Anatoliy.
Okay, so basically, before coming here in summer, I didn't know how the regulations are in Serbia. I had no connection to any Serb who could tell me, so it was like a black box. But in the end, I think it was the best choice to come to Serbia because if you compare the German regulations to the regulations here, it's like 2 different worlds. I mean, of course, Serbs try to do something, but it's not that strict as in Germany, obviously. I still feel the freedom here.
So you were able to actually have your Erasmus.
What?
You were able to actually have your Erasmus. You were able to do more than just follow online classes.
Exactly, yeah. And this was also one concern because I had another girl who also applied for the exchange to Belgrade. We filled the form all together, applied for everything. She got accepted too, but she didn't go because she was too concerned about the scholarship, about the situation in Serbia, whether she will get an accommodation, all the stuff. So she declined. She jumped off. I was like, okay. I mean, I wasn't worried at all. I thought, okay, I will just dive in. Something's got to work out, So I came here without having an apartment, just got an Airbnb and searched for one. Went pretty well. I love the life here, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's great to hear because it's very different from what it usually is. If you love it now, you would really love it.
Yeah, definitely. I have to come back in summer or maybe next year when all this shit is over.
Well, you're always welcome. Okay, what about you?
It's.
And just one second, in case you guys can't really hear us, just write it in the chat box so we can reorganize the microphone situation. Sorry for interrupting.
So guys, once again, of course, I really agree with Anatoliy. I mean, it's really good idea to also come here to during the summer vacation, let's say, during the summer, because like from our perspective it was winter semester, so it was like a little bit. Still I saw snow because in Warsaw till let's say 4 years it wasn't any snow, so like I seen snow here. Like it was like different weather since I just came here in the end of September. It was like still let's say 25 degrees, and it was like, you know, you can dress some t-shirt and like till the end of December, when it was really like snow and like let's say minus 7 or minus 8 even. So for sure it's a good idea also to come here to Serbia. Also during the summer, especially like we already have all of us like have here a lot of friends, so like we have chance to hear, which we have reason to came here. Let's say in that way. What more? Remember me the question.
Yeah, so basically what were you expecting and what did you get?
About lessons from the beginning, I wasn't sure that like it will be online or normal one, because as I said in Warsaw we have online one, and I really for the last moment I was waiting, I was expected something that like maybe some of lessons, let's say, will be in normal way in class, and we will go like to faculty as I all time in my old previous Erasmus done. But at the end of at the beginning actually of October, I was informed that like it will be online lessons. So of course I will be really so sad, because I wanted, you know, more interactive, because of course it's first days when you just came to another country and you feel like, you know, totally lost, because it's your like all is totally new. So it's very important, you know, to integrate it with someone. Of course I was stressed like, oh my god, how I can integrate it with someone if I will have my lessons online. So like I cannot grab a beer with someone, a coffee with someone after, let's say, some break between 1 or 2 lessons. But finally, thanks as we have a lot of friends. Let's say do some advertising for you guys. Yes, so it's also about that. But I mean, compare even with last semester in Warsaw, it also was online. So it's the same, like totally the same. So I cannot find any differences, because always the same during the online education system, let's say.
Okay, so you don't find that many differences. Okay, well, thank you guys for all of this. Now, just kind of to wrap it up, knowing what you know about the Serbian education system and Serbs in general, I think you can kind of figure out what Serbian students are like. You come from Germany, you come from Poland, or you study in Poland, and these are among the 2 most popular receiving institutions from Serbian students, especially for students from your university. Germany is very popular. What advice would you give to Serbian students who are thinking about applying to your universities or universities in your city, in your country? What should they look out for? Do you have any tips?
No.
The first thing that comes to mind.
I mean, if you have any questions regarding the Free University, for example, in Berlin, you can always get back to me, text me. I'm happy to help. To be honest, regarding my university, I don't know, because it's not a specific question. I mean, I don't know which faculty. But if you apply for university, I think the best choice is to go to big cities, like not the student cities, because everything is online, and the student cities are just that, because the locals, like the Germans who move to the student cities like Trier, Jena, Greifswald, they're all staying at home because they just can study remote.
But let's pretend that there is no corona anymore. Let's pretend that exchanges are actually happening in person.
Then go to student city.
Yeah, and this
or Berlin.
And this is something that I would definitely confirm: student cities or Berlin. I studied in Gießen, which is a very, very small city outside of Frankfurt. Very student city. Had an amazing time. I also went to Cologne, which is a much bigger city, much more famous in Germany. Personally, for me, my time in Gießen was more interesting because the sense of community was definitely there. Yeah, so if you go to a bigger city, if you go to Berlin, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening around you, and it might be a bit more difficult to take the experience in. But it also depends on personality, I guess.
What do you mean, maybe difficult?
If you're doing this and this and this and this and this, you are not really taking it. You're not really taking it in. You're not really thinking about the experiences if you're just having them day after day after day. So at least in my personal experience, I was happier to be in Gießen because it allowed me to really think about how my academic side of the exchange and my personal side of the exchange can influence my life and benefit my life. But that is definitely it depends on your personal preferences.
Yeah, for sure.
But like in general for Germany, is there anything that is really like, okay guys, if you come to Germany you need to know this?
Okay, so if you want to come to Germany, I can recommend some cities. Of course, all just my opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, I will always promote Berlin. Berlin is the best city in Europe, in my opinion.
Belgrade. After Belgrade.
After Belgrade and Warsaw, yeah. Other cool cities where I know some people who are studying are Leipzig. So people say it's the next Berlin, and it's not much smaller, but it's smaller. It's also a student city, I think. I'm not sure, but the university is pretty big. Cologne,
Cologne, yeah.
Cologne is also pretty cool, and of course Munich. So these are the cities which I would apply to, and the universities are really good. This would be basically it for internationals. Like as I said, you can always text me if you have any questions.
You have his name in the description. Okay, well, thank you. That's definitely going to be important for anybody who was thinking about Germany. And what about you with your 7,000 exchanges?
So what I want guys to add is, of course, I also like if you will have any questions about like how to apply to, let's say, Polish university, like during your exchange, if you would like to do some exchange in Warsaw, so especially in Warsaw, so don't hesitate. You also have my contact, even it's not my name, but still.
It's a name on Facebook.
Yeah. I also would like to tell you, that like more and more, because Warsaw is not very popular wasn't, let's say, very popular to exchange, but like maybe it's about not I'm in Warsaw sitting all time, because as you know, I just 2 weeks in Warsaw available, but still what I had and what I can view, it's about more and more people and more and more students would like to come to Warsaw to the exchange. So that's why I guess it's like start to be more and more popular direction to the Erasmus exchange. Of course, as for me strongly, I will recommend you University of Warsaw or any other university in Warsaw. But I mean, like of course, Warsaw is a capital city. You have a lot of stuff to do there. Like it's right now, it's the same. Like yes, you mentioned about Germany. Like we have really like very like hard, let's say, curfew. So we cannot go anywhere. Everything is closed. So it's the same as Anatoliy mentioned. I don't know because in 4 days I will come back to Poland. I will feel like oh my god, I cannot meet with my friends. So like how it's possible, but here everything is open. So this is the main, let's say, advantages about all of exchange. That like even let's say come back for few sentences for your previous questions. Like yes, what about COVID lessons? It's still online, but like you can, in case let's say I will stay in Poland, everything is closed, the same like in Germany. So we cannot even go out because you should have some permit or like something like that. So in case of Serbia, everything is open and you can feel like really like this, as you mentioned before, freedom. You can go everywhere, you can meet people, you can still like can be in full integrated with society, with environment, with Serbians as well.
Which is great for you guys that are now here. It might have some later on repercussions when it comes to the spread of the COVID pandemic, and definitely different things have motivated different governments to take different steps. Countries that are still developing cannot really afford more lockdowns, so that is in part the reason why we're still as open as we are. But in case Corona stops, it just disappears. And for example, by the next semester or by the next winter semester, what would be the Warsaw experience? What would students expect?
My first, let's say, like advice, a suggestion for you, like for you guys, or also for you who would like to applicate for Warsaw University or like in general to Poland to Erasmus exchange, is for sure you should do it. Even you must do it because like. Anyway, Erasmus is all exchange, all kind of exchange. It's really like amazing thing. It's amazing trip. So you pretty sure you should try it. It's first of all. Another is about like Warsaw is very huge. We also have like let's say 2 millions. So like all bars, all pubs, like all gallery, museum, like from different kind of let's say from Kalče, Valče to some bars. We have really all in Warsaw, so that's why I really strongly recommend you, first of all, if you would like, if you have possibility, go to Warsaw, to Poland. So first of all, please write Warsaw University in your application form. Then we also have another very, very student, let's say, a city with students' lifestyle. It's also Krakow, Wrocław, Gdańsk, Tri-City. So like all Warsaw, all cities I recommend in Poland, but first of all, of course, it's Warsaw, because you really have this great chance to know Warsaw more close and like to explore Warsaw from inside.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
He convinced me. What about you?
I'm pretty convinced. I still want to go to Berlin as well, so maybe Berlin then Warsaw. Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us your input on your entire experience here, and for hopefully helping somebody decide on what to do on their exchange. And thanks for watching, guys.
Maybe a few words about ESN, about the network. Like a big thanks to everyone who participated. You're all great. Like people who I've talked to know why I love it so much. But anyways, yeah, you put much effort in, like this interview, all the strips in the beginning. So you gathered all of us, all the exchange students. I mean, this year it's only 12 of us, I think.
I think it's a bit more, but 12 of you that reported to us.
Okay, yeah, maybe that way. So at least 12 are in our small group. I think usually it's 70. Okay,
or 5 according to law.
5.
Let's say 5.
Clusters of 5.
Clusters of 5. Okay. Yeah. So big thanks for organization and taking care.
You're definitely welcome. This is something that, this is the ESN page, so it kind of goes without saying that ESN stands behind everything that we're doing today. But in case anybody would like to participate in any of our events or maybe become a member of ESN, you have all the information for that you would need on the ESN Serbia Facebook page. And unless there are any further comments or any questions in the comment section, I would conclude today's little interview. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Schöne Grüße nach Berlin an meine Fam und die Homeboys.
Thank you.
Yeah.